I would say one of the teams that's most interesting going into this season, regardless if you live in the 216 or not, nationally in the NFL, is the Cleveland Browns. I think one of the reasons is because of the conference they're in, the AFC, where there's so many good quarterbacks. Another reason is because of the division they're in, the AFC North, one of, if not the toughest division this year in the NFL. And I think the third reason is everybody wants to see Deshaun Watson in a full year under the Kevin Stefanski scheme. I think that's one of the reasons why they did not fire Stefanski at the end of last year, is because the Browns want to see Stefanski in a full year with Deshaun Watson. I've been hearing a lot of reports about the Browns are trying to modernize the offense, run it through Watson, not as much Chubb, which I think is a good direction. But I still think in this era of the AFC, in your division where you have Cincinnati and Baltimore and Pittsburgh, who still wins a lot of football games. Like, I think, and I've seen a lot of this Browns fan base say it's playoffs or bust for this team. I think in the AFC, I don't necessarily think that. I do think there is a lot of pressure, though, on them to win at least games, get 8-9 victories, and see if you can get in the postseason. Just an overall arching aspect of your thought of the Browns going into this season for you.
I am of the ilk that last year, 6 games, that was just kind of the trial run. It was pretty clear to me that they weren't trying to win those 6 games. They were trying to just get him acclimated. Now it's go time. I think it is playoffs or bust. I think when you sign Deshaun Watson or when you trade for him, that move, because of all the baggage that he was bringing along, that move ripped apart the fan base. That move had the national media all over us. So when you make a move like that, it's not just to make the playoffs. Like, at some point in the next 4 years, 4 seasons, they're gonna win a Super Bowl. I will say this year, playoffs, I'm cool with playoffs. I am. But when you make that kind of move and you give up that capital that you did to get a guy like him, that's saying that you believe that he's the man and he's the answer to the quarterback conundrum they've been under since 1999. So in my eyes, this year, playoffs. And I do feel that if they don't make the playoffs, I do feel that Stefanski's on the hot seat. I really do. I really feel like they have. I looked at the roster at the beginning of last season, and one of the first things that jumped out to me was the defensive line, the lack of people in the middle of the defensive line, and the linebackers, and the wide receiving core. They've pretty much shored up 2 out of those 3. And they brought back some of the linebackers that, they had Anthony Walker, who got hurt early last year. But they've shored up the defensive line. They've shored up the wideouts. So now it's time to win. This whole season, no matter what happens, this whole season is going to live and die with Deshaun Watson. And it's a fact in my eyes. I just can't see it going any other way.
I'm going to throw something that I've pitched to other Browns fans and, people that I have brought on this podcast. And everybody almost thinks I'm crazy. But I have said, if you get the production out of Deshaun Watson that you think that you acquired from Houston, if you get the old Houston Deshaun Watson, I think at the end of the season, depending on how it goes, obviously, I'm telling you, Clarence, people think I'm crazy, but I would debate about trading Nick Chubb, because I don't think, if you have a great quarterback in Deshaun Watson, I think the Browns have some good offensive pieces. I like Amari Cooper. I don't love him as much as everybody else.
Sure.
I still think that they need to upgrade and maybe make Cooper your number 2. Maybe you try to go out and save the money from Chubb to go get a number 1 wide receiver, or maybe go get another offensive lineman. Or if Zadarius Smith leaves, you use that money and you go get, a guy opposite Myles Garrett or another defensive lineman. Like, we've seen running back, and it doesn't matter who the running back is unless it's Adrian Peterson, break the mold. And I understand how good Nick Chubb is. But if Watson's as good as the Browns think he is, if he has that tremendous season, you're not going to put the ball in Chubb's hands as much as you will anyway. So to me, it's almost a sell-high situation, because at some point, we've seen the best running backs in the NFL go from having great seasons and some of the best in the league right now, and look at a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's not even signed on a roster right now to the season he had last year with Minnesota.
Sure, that is, you bring up valid points. If they have a really solid season, and Watson has a really solid season, I still think that you've got to keep Chubb, just simply because, as good as Watson is, he's not Mahomes. I don't think that he can win you games. He can't. Let me rephrase that. He can win you games on his own, but I don't think he is Mahomes-esque. So you see guys like, Josh Allen, who awesome player, but when it's time to run the ball, they struggle. So I feel like you got to have somewhat of a balanced attack. I don't want to see Chubb go anywhere because, quite frankly, he carried the offense at certain points over the last few years. I just feel like you need that balance. I feel like you need that other threat. Now, if they were to let him go and they were to, like you said, try and go out and get I shouldn't say true number one, because Cooper filled the role pretty admirably last year. But if they do, and they do let go of Chubb and they go try and get another wideout, my biggest concern is that I don't want to end up as a one-dimensional team. I'm not sure that we can compare them to like a Kansas City who does throw a lot, because Andy Reid is proven. He's a proven coach. He has done this before. He's done it in different places, different stops. Stefanski, let's be honest, his record has went downhill since the first year. So I'm not for getting rid of Nick Chubb at all, ever. But I'm also old school, man. I want to see him pound the ball, man. 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
I love it. Now, what is your take? Because this AFC North, to me, along with the rest of the AFC, is fascinating. I mean, I look at a team like Pittsburgh, and to me, talent-wise, they're the 4th most talented team in the division. Yet over the last couple of years, when they have TJ Watt, it doesn't even matter the talent. They just win games, and they pretty much almost made the playoffs last year with Kenny Pickett playing okay at the end of the year. But I mean, it's not that talented of a team. They have a good defense, I would say. It turns into nothing without TJ Watt. Baltimore, when Lamar Jackson is healthy, I think people undeniably, they're one of the best teams in the league. The numbers say it. They were the only team last year through 10 games with a double-digit lead in every single game. Their defenses obviously couldn't close the deal. And then you have Cincinnati, who we all know, Burrow, Chase, Mixon, Higgins, Trey Anderson on the defensive end, along with some of the other guys that they have on that team. So, I mean, how do you view this AFC North? Because there's going to be a really good team, again, I feel like out of this division, that's not going to make the playoffs.
Honestly, this reminds me of, now I'm going to show my age a little bit here, the old AFC Central, when it was Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Houston. And Pittsburgh had Bubby Brister as the QB. Our Brownies had Bernie. The Bengals had Boomer. And Houston Oilers had Warren Moon. So every week was just a battle. Was a super battle. And we're trending that way again. Like you said, Pittsburgh, but you know what? Those every week, they show up to play no matter what. Tomlin is one of the better coaches in the NFL to me. I don't care what a lot of their fan base says. If you can take some of the rosters and some of the talent that he's had and still end up being competitive every single week, come on, man. Like, you got to give them their props. Cincinnati, like you said, they're a juggernaut. They can score with anybody. Their defense is getting better. And then you got Baltimore. For some reason, we can stop everybody on Baltimore except for one guy, Mark Andrews. That dude is open when he gets off the damn plane when he comes to Cleveland, and he's open when he leaves his house when he's playing us. So it is a wild division. I do like the fact that we are playing tough divisional games every week. That we play somebody within the AFC North, and it makes it a lot harder for the Browns to make the playoffs. But again, this is why you went out and traded all these first round picks and all this stuff for Deshaun Watson to take it to that next level.
Like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.